Yeah, American Idiots, baby. That's exactly what we are. We're starting this show live early today, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's time to get these business bros off and rolling. So let's do this thing.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Dude, I don't know, man. Green Day just had it. They knew.
They knew something at some point.
They knew we were all jacked up, dude. They knew it. They knew it. And we're singing this song like we were just understood. But
Yep.
anybody listening to this Green Day stuff, American Idiots, the name of the jam, I mean, just go back and listen to the lyrics. It's so... I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. So much stuff. Perfect line to drop in, right? All right. Anyways, let's hit the pause button there. All right, so what's going on here? So let's start off with the trending topic for today. It's been trending for a while, this thing we call COVID, right? James and I have had a number of discussions for, against vaccines, positives, negatives.
About. Never heard of it.
And then was it last night? No, it was Sunday night. We were watching football, right? In between the end of the 1:30 games, the 1 o'clock games, and right before Sunday night football, there comes on the Academy Awards?
Emmys,
whatever.
Emmys. Whatever.
And we got our boy right here, Mr. Seth Rogen hops on. And Ham, go ahead, hit it, man. Let's hear what Seth Rogen had to say.
Anyway, good to be here at the Emmy Awards. Let me start by saying there is way too many of us in this little room. What are we doing? They said this was outdoors. It's not. They lied to us. We're in a hermetically sealed tent right now. I would not have come to this. Why is there a roof? It's more important that we have 3 chandeliers than that we make sure we don't kill Eugene Levy tonight. Anyway, good to be here at the Emmy Awards.
So Seth Rogen had a bunch of, he's got feedback. He's been trending all over the place.
On the Twitter.
Because of exactly that, like the hypocrisies of we the human species here, of this whole concept of COVID, whether or not, we've had family members that have gotten sick. We've had family members that have passed away. We've had friends and family that have passed away. We're not saying it doesn't exist. First and foremost, let's just get that out there. We're not saying it doesn't exist. However, how we go about dealing with it, James and I have always disagreed on a lot of this stuff. And the funny part is, for us anyways, is that no matter what, we've seemed to have thrown things like common sense out the window, right? Like, if, for example, if COVID is as scary as it is for a lot of these people, what Seth Rogen is saying is absolutely true. Mm-hmm. Like, why the hell are you stuck in this room together? Why is there a roof over this? Why? What is that? What are you thinking? And, the irony here is, we do this in all aspects of our lives, right? Yes, the COVID thing, James and I are not going to get in, we might in a little bit later, not really going to get into a heated discussion today about the whole COVID thing, but mainly to point out common sense ain't too common, right? We've known that. We feel like every single generation, our parents, our grandparents think we've lost all sense of common sense. We look at my kids, the new generation coming up, and I feel like they've lost all sense of common sense, and we've lost it ourselves at times. I mean, just the example of what's going on at the Emmys is an example of what's going on. The whole idea of how this is playing out in the world, in the country, reeks of lacking common sense. The whole reason why it's not as easily swallowed or, jabbed or whatever you want to call it, the whole reason why it's not fell swoop is because nobody can get a story straight on either side. Nobody will tell us what the exact thing is or what consequences are or, where the direction of this country is going, whatever it is. We don't have that.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you. It's not that we don't have it. It's that we have too much of it. It's exactly what you're always talking about, that if you want to find the science that says the vaccine works, it's, if everybody would just get the vaccine, then everything would be fine. You could find the science that says that, but unfortunately, in my opinion, you can also find the science that says nope. If there's a lot of things going on that the vaccine isn't safe and it's hurting people and it's causing all this and it's causing all that. So like no matter what you believe, there's enough information out there on the internet that you can find whatever you can find justification to whatever you choose to believe.
100%. 100%. So how do we combat that? I don't have a solution for the COVID thing. I'm sorry to tell you.
Nope.
I just don't.
Sorry.
We're gonna agree to disagree on a lot of different things.
We can go
right?
back and forth on that for days.
Hell yeah, we can. And we have. You know the
literally, Jeremy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking. So 2 weeks ago on Sunday, because Sunday, friends, family come over to the house and we watch football. That's what we do during football season. Fantasy, talk shit, do all that kind of fun stuff. Eat meat, eat, drink, and be merry, right?
Yep.
And James and I are sitting at the table, and just like in Business Bros fashion, we're having this discussion on the ideas of COVID and politics and what's going on in the world today. Cousin Jeremy comes over, he sits down and goes, "What are you guys talking about?" And then he chimes in his opinions and so forth. Well, he comes over this weekend, and as he's coming in, he's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And James just looks over. Same shit we talk about every day, dude.
It wasn't even that. He walked in and we were like mid conversation, and you guys are still talking about that.
It doesn't
Same
go
shit,
away.
man. It's
Same
still
shit. Because we don't agree, right? And this that's just how it works. We try to convince each other. We try to show each other of evidence that we found, of anecdotal people who are saying certain things, who have prestigious titles in either direction. And at the end of the day, we agree to disagree, right? That's just always how it works. But that's the cool part. Again, this is the cool part, is that we have conversations, right? And we bring people onto the table that have fierce ideas and ideologies about what they believe to be true, and we have people that have ideas on the other side, and we just have these discussions, and at the end of the day we still have beers and we still have food together, and we hug and we go away. And that's kind of what I wish for more of the population to have, is the discussion that people are still people.
I was gonna say that's the common sense I think that has been lost. Is that we can't just have conversations anymore. Things as innocuous, quote unquote, that's not really the word that I want to use, but I'm going to use it anyway. Like whether or not to wear a mask, right? Like it becomes a polarized issue.
Mm-hmm.
All of this stuff has become so freaking political and polarized, and we can't just have a conversation about it anymore. It's like, if you don't wear a mask and don't get your vaccine and don't, stay home and don't do this, you're a menace to society. You're a selfish piece of shit. And, all these other things where it's like, no, you're really just doing what you think is best. And like, you are always arguing like, no, it's my choice, right? If I decide that I don't want to get vaccinated, then that's up to me. And it shouldn't be anybody telling me that I need to. And, like I told you before, I don't like the mandate, even if I agree with it. Like, I think it's the best thing to do, but I don't like it because it takes away people's freedoms.
Freedom of choice.
But
yeah.
Anyway,
so
common sense, though, the bottom line is the common sense that we've lost is our ability to have conversations, listen to each other, and take away the things that make sense to each of us, because
there's valid points.
You're not 100% right, or you're not 100% wrong. I'm not 100% right. I'm not 100% wrong. Somewhere in the middle of both of what we're saying is things that we can come to agreement on. And like, that's what the polarization of so many things has lost for us. That's the common sense that we've lost.
That is, dude, and it's scary. And it's scary. I saw this TikTok, and it was this Australian girl, and she was answering a question from the comments. I love that. To the comments, because that's usually what happens, right? Something polarizing. To the comments. And she's answering this question: what can America do to avoid the situation that Australia's in?
What is
And
this? What is the situation though? Like, because you told me that the other day. I'm like, but what's the situation?
My understanding, and I don't know because I haven't done a ton of research, right? But my understanding is that they're in a huge lockdown. They're not allowed to go, more than 5 kilometers from their home. They're not allowed to enter certain places or work if they're not vaccinated. They're not able to go shopping if they're not vaccinated. Big disparity. And again, I don't know 100%. I haven't done enough research to know what's going on in Australia.
The number of cases and the number of deaths from COVID in that country is like way low.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done enough, not even TikTok anecdotal research to tell you one way or the other. But what she was saying in this particular TikTok, which caught my attention, was she said, do not get divided. Do not let your government divide you, because she remembers being a time when Aussies were all about unity. Everything sports or teammate stuff, like they were huge. And what she saw happen was there was a huge division between vaccinated and unvaccinated, right? All of a sudden it's become that, the way she described it was, it's like that Civil War type mentality, brother versus brother. Like all of a sudden you're not an Aussie anymore. You're vaxxed or unvaxxed. And there's no dialogue. You're a victim or you're a villain. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, you see both, right? You see victims and villains on both sides. And so she's saying, don't let the government break you apart. Have conversations, talk to people. Really, don't be divisive. And you won't fall into that problem. Because if we do, and the other thing she said is she doesn't think what's happening in Australia will happen to America because we got guns. So she's like, we don't want to mess with any government would be stupid to mess with its citizens that are armed. But they're not over there, I guess, in the same sense. So I don't know.
No. There was some 15, 20 years ago, maybe, that all the Australians gave up their guns.
Gave up their guns.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing she pointed out.
I remember that being a thing.
You can't rise up against a tyrannical government if you're not armed. So, don't lose the arms. I get it. Some people don't like that. We have a right to bear arms,
in our Constitution.
Right? It's in our Constitution,
yeah.
A right to bear arms.
Two of them. This guy.
Yeah, we're
all right.
Idiots.
We're being nerds.
Back to the common sense thing. So the common sense thing has to do with have conversations with people. Be empathetic. Understand that everybody's a little bit different. Nobody has all the answers. We only know what we know, and based on the situation that we had growing up and who we surround ourselves with, we're going to believe certain things. Just like we had a discussion with Jeremy, we were talking about a gay, being gay or straight, right? And whether it's a choice or biological. Like as soon as you start having conversations with people become educated, right? That's the whole point, is you learn from each other. So don't lose that common sense. Learn from each other. Have conversations. Don't forget that we're all human beings. We still live on this big blue earth together. We're still all here. We still need to communicate with each other and we're useful to each other. Some of us are growing crops and some of us are building things and some of us are hiring people. Some of us are working, but we all need to work together. We're a team here, right? So don't lose that common sense.
The covenant is coming.
The covenant, that's absolutely right. When aliens invade, we need to have our shit together as a human species, all right? And that's just what it comes down to. All right.
Too funny.
Okay, on to the business common sense stuff. So
business common sense.
We're not even lost on the fact that common sense to us escapes us at all avenues, right? Just when you think you have it all figured out, you don't, right? And so James and I have been talking a lot about what our business structure is going to be like for the Business Bros podcast. Whether we want to continue with the, focusing on testimonials. Do we want to focus on ads? Do we want to focus on whatever it is that we're working on, right?
Constant conversations,
always, right? And we look at, well, how many did we sell of this? How many did we do of this? What did it cost? Like always having those conversations. And one of the things I've noticed, like I closed escrow on a property Monday. Yesterday was Monday, right? Yes, yesterday was Monday. Closed escrow on a property on Monday. A while back ago, we had another real estate transaction. We've been getting insurance business. And really what it comes down to is I sit down with people, James sits down with people all the time. And we sit down, we have a conversation of where are you at and what is it that you want to achieve? And one of the huge credibility points that we have is the fact that this is episode 811. We've interviewed over 650 different entrepreneurs, which means we have a vast knowledge and network of different professionals doing different things. And so when people reach out to us, by default, what do we end up doing? We're like, you know what? If I don't know the answer to that, I'm going to hook you up with somebody who does. I had a conversation with a teacher this week who's going through some trust issues. Not like, trusting each other. I'm talking about living trust issues, right? And doing some executions, wants to know how it's going to have
they're
tax
having trust
implications.
issues. I have a lot of therapists that I've been talking to over the past 8 months.
Right? That's a whole other area that we have access to. So, when they come down and sit and have a conversation, we talk taxes, we talk real estate, we talk estate planning, but I don't do all those things. I am not the professional expert in all those spaces. I've hold licenses in many of those areas. I've had a lot of continuing education in a lot of these different fields. I've interviewed so many people from these different spaces that I can communicate with them really well. I speak that language really well. I speak the language of accounting, of marketing, of business in general, of taxes, like all those different areas. I'm very well versed. So when I sit down and talk to a particular person, whoever it is, individual or business, I can see where some of their problems are. We can discuss about where they are today, where they want to go. And then I plug them into my network of people who are already doing these things at high levels. Mm-hmm. If you want to sit down and get your trust in order, I have attorneys that can help you do that. If you're looking to get a divorce, I got attorneys that can help you do that. If you need to get your books in order, I got bookkeepers and CPAs that can help you do that. Real estate, I can help you get that squared away. Like there's so many different things that people come and ask us about. We lost our common sense in realizing that that is probably one of our stronger business models, right? This is exactly what we've developed.
One of our business strengths. Yeah.
One of our business strengths, right? One of our business strengths. One of the things that we've done really, really well. And we've done it so well, so often that it's lost upon us that this is what we do. Common sense out the window. So James and I were talking about this, and we're going to start reaching out to a lot of our previous guests who have already been on the show. The cool thing is, if we ever refer you to somebody, you can always look up their episode. That's super cool. I always thought that was super awesome. It was like, hey, check this person out. You want to know a little bit more about them? Here's 30 minutes. Listen to them talk. Listen to them talk about their business, where they're at, what their story is, where they want to go. Who's their ideal customer, right? All these different things that they talk about on our show is essentially you interviewing them and see if you even jive with them, right? Because I can send you to an attorney if you want to build your trust, and that attorney may not rub you the right way. I mean, there's some attorneys who are really dry and they just talk about what it is that they're going to talk about, and they don't really do much explaining, but they're real freaking good at what they do. Right? Or maybe you want to go and have a conversation with somebody. Maybe you want to work with an attorney in heels, and that's the kind of thing that really drives you because you want to, it's all about women power. I have those types of attorneys in place, right? There's different things that you might want to work with, and the best thing is once I refer somebody to you, you can always check out their episode and then make a judgment call for yourself. They've been vetted. And you get to do the vetting. You don't even have to go for a consultation. I always suggest that you do because it's different.
Definitely go for the consultation.
You definitely go for the
pre-vet them.
Yes, exactly. Just by watching an episode, right? And that's a huge uptick in the ability for you to just go through people, because you can Google them and you can read about them. But let's be honest, when you Google somebody, all you see is the highlights of who they are, right? It's like the photo album of the world. Like I always like the photo albums or the Instagrams of the world, I guess is how I should portray it today, right? Only the good stuff, only the peaks, none of the valleys. Peaks, awards, peaks, closings, peaks, all these different things. What about the downside? What about that time you messed up and you lost that client, or that one time you forgot to file that paperwork, or that one time you bombed, right? Like those things happen. Nobody talks about that, but we love to talk about it.
Let's say nobody posts that on their Instagram or on their Facebook or on their Twitter or whatever, but they talk about it on our podcast.
100%. So we're going to be reaching out to a lot of them, and we're going to be double vetting them. We're going to be creating a preferred vendor list for different areas. So basically, there's two things that I want to know. I'm going to be talking to the people who have been on the show as a guest. reaching out to them and having a conversation. And I'm going for two types of questions. One is, where are you with your company and what do you need help with? And the other is, if I was to put you on my preferred vendor list, what would be the expertise that you'd want to be known for? Right. So those are the two things that I'm going to be reaching out to people, because even if I know somebody who's an amazing marketer, and I know some amazing marketers, let me tell you, geniuses, I got some geniuses for you.
Nice.
Right. But even them in their
See what you did
business,
there.
because they're good at marketing doesn't necessarily mean they keep good books. Doesn't necessarily mean they have an entity in place. Doesn't necessarily mean they have systems and processes or a sales process. Like, there's a lot of gaps. And James actually did some amazing work over this last week. And on Sunday when he came prepared. Like, let me tell you, when he comes prepared, it's because he's got a pad of paper. Show it, hand. Just bust out the pad. I know you got it right next to you. Right? He's got a pad of paper. He's got a ton of notes, and he sits down and he has this look on his face like, yo, we need to talk. And I'm like, dude, the game hasn't even started yet. I'm like, making breakfast, man.
This was it.
That was it right there.
This was it. The pyramid.
And it's a pyramid. And the way he laid it out is, this is our business. This is where we're at right now with our insurance company. These are the things that we have solid in our company. These are the things that we suck at in our
it's
company.
the foundational things, because I spent 7 freaking years building that foundation. It's funny too, because like when I think about how the foundation is looking and how solid it is, I fought for that, because our business partners and you were always, starting from the top and like, let's just get a bunch of people. Let's just get a bunch of business. Let's just do all this stuff that's going to bring in all kinds of sales. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but we need people in place to like handle all of that.
Yeah.
So
that was a constant battle.
It was.
Right?
It was. I kind of wish we were still having that battle.
Yeah, even today. Well, because turning on the faucet when it comes to sales, it's almost an art sometimes, right? Like, when you get in a groove and you just start boom, boom. I mean, we were in a groove where we were adding 5 agents a month, right? Yep. Like, we were adding 5 agents a month. That's a lot to handle. That's a lot of onboarding. That's a lot of transfer paperwork. That's a lot of like just back end support and customer service that was happening. And we were being flooded. We make huge mistakes. But again, like, having that money come in was nice. Yep. Right. It did give us the flexibility to do some things and grow at a rate we wanted to. Now we've taken a step back from the sales side. We focused a lot more on our fundamentals and our foundational stuff. So we're ready to, and that's what happens when James comes over. Literally, he's like, yo, this is where we're at. This is what I thought. And then we hash it out. We throw a bunch of wrenches in everything we possibly can that can go wrong or could go wrong or could go right. We just throw ideas on there and we talk about the different aspects of what the business has to offer. And in doing that, we realize that, even us at the position that we're at, there's certain pieces that we're missing. And the solution that we had this weekend was the same solution that we're talking out here, which is the common sense part. We're like, okay, so now we have all these fundamental things. We're missing a sales process that works, a sales team that actually works. So what are we going to do? We're going to look into our Rolodex here of people who've been on the show. And we got sales coaches, people who help develop these things in the insurance space, mind you. Yep. That we're going to reach out to. And that's going to be the next step. So there's a lot of you entrepreneurs out there that are in a very similar situation. You've started something. You're probably doing a good job, but you feel like you've hit a plateau, right? Like this is the most business I can handle. I can't even get more customers because I don't have enough time. If you're in that situation, that means you're missing a couple of key business pieces. And that's why we want to have this conversation with you. No scalability, right? That's a problem. You're never going to be able to step away from your business if you can't create the systems and processes in place. And you can't do that by yourself because you don't know what to do. Case in point, you are exactly where you are, stuck. Because you don't see the opportunities because nobody's ever taught you, and that's okay, right? Nobody's ever shown you that this is the next step. But we do know a lot of business people, a lot of people in our network who have successfully done and taken their business from being completely self-employed, successfully self-employed to successfully scaled. So where you have an actual business. So maybe you get in a position where those vaccine mandates actually affect you. The vaccine now, right?
Yeah. Because you have 100 employees now.
Yeah, because all of a sudden you have 100 employees and you're like,
Yeah,
get
that'd be
it?
great.
Yeah, that'd be a good problem to have. Different problem
Good
to
problem
have,
to have.
anyways. Different problem to have.
Different problem to have.
Yeah. So, but so anyways, that's our show for today. I mean, we still got about 5 more minutes, but we're gonna call it a little early today. But really, that's the gist of it. Common sense ain't too common, and first and foremost, have conversations with people, please. Like I know it's begging, but I don't even think I need to beg. There are people that you want to hang out with. Just freaking go hang out with them. And if you're scared, put a mask on and have a conversation anyways. Learn from each other. What are their biggest fears? What are your biggest fears? Lay those cards on the table. Talk about the consequences of both of those fears. Sit down and discuss a worst case scenario. Sit and discuss a best case scenario. Have the dialogue, because we as human beings thrive on communication. And as soon as you're divisive, as soon as they cut you off from everybody else and you're only hearing one side, you're almost a lost cause.
Yeah.
This is where we talk extreme left and we talk extreme right at this point. It's because all they hear is one side, right? And there's nothing wrong with being on the right or being on the left. Just have an open ear. Have a discussion. Reach across the aisle. Shake a couple hands, even if you put antibacterial soap right after, right? Shake a couple hands. Listen, empathize, and then go on with your day. You'll be better off for it. Common sense ain't too common, but you got to find it. And if you are a preferred vendor, you want to be one of our preferred vendors, make sure you hit us up. Go to businessbros.biz. There's a button there for you to schedule a 15-minute call with me. Sit down and have a conversation. We can talk about your business and see where you need help, and I'll connect you with certain people that might help you. Or maybe you're one of those vendors who wants to be on my preferred vendor list. Set up a conversation. We'll talk about your expertise and what you bring to the table so we can help hook you guys up. Because at the end of the day, we're here to be of service to others, and that means if you got a business that needs growing, we got businesses that'll help you get there. We'll see you guys again next time. Peace. And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the Business Bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the Insurance Bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation, or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.